So talking about the challenges, risk and funding. So we know ethics is the biggest problem, right? So the most important thing when we're trying to design any of the AI or machine learning systems, right? So we need to think about the ethical part of it. So we call that as a biggest elephant in the room, right? So this has to be sorted out first. So if we are clear on the ethical part of usage of AI or machine learning based elements, then things become relatively more easy. Next important consideration which has to be looked upon is from the perspective of um, machine learning challenges and the risks, and then how the problem of consciousness can be looked upon, because humans and machines are different only from the perspective that human possesses the elements of consciousness and machines or AI based agents doesn't have the elements of consciousness built to it. So that's again a important challenge, important challenge or which has to be looked upon and has to be addressed. The last important risk or challenge which has to be considered is the likes of requirements for the funding. So how the funding needs have to be addressed for any of the machine learning based projects or AI based project has to be considered deeply. So let's try to evaluate whether we call AI machine learning as a utopia or it's a dystopia or somewhere in between. So people try to say utopia is a perfect land where everything falls in the right place. uh, so can we say AI and machine learning as a kind of utopia, or are we still scratching the surface of it? So we don't know. That's the reality in a nutshell, right? So what happens if we get it right? If things become all right, if AI and machine learning turn out to be the same way in which they are expected to serve humans, absolutely it can be a kind of utopian land which we can think of, right? So obviously the ability to become more human, these are the few ways by which your AI capabilities or machine learning capabilities will help. So we as a human can be more human from that perspective, right? So we can think of getting benefited from the likes of technology, beneficial use of technology. We'll try to get that across. And then overall universal sustainability lifestyle worldwide can be enabled with the likes of machine learning or AI based capabilities, right? And you can think of having a long-term personal and societal health and wealth gains can be done. So these are the few elements where your AI based capabilities can, or your machine learning based capability can be acting as a utopia. What if things doesn't fall in the right place, right? What happens if things doesn't work the way it is supposed to be working, right? So if it goes wrong, what happens in that case, right? So there can be chances of, as we call it, nothing is a perfect world, right? Nothing is a perfect technology. So there can be chances of abusing or unethical use of AI-based systems, right? For personal uses, for personal gains, for organizational usage or organizational gains or groups gain, right? So in that case, there are a few set of individuals or people will get benefit out of it, which is not the right intent for these technology. So there can be increasing inequality because we already see a land or system of inequality right now, but then that inequality can be widened if you see with the usage of these technology, because these technology can be causing even furthermore widespread uh, separation or inequality within the society. So if you ask me across, there can be even more problems, right? So there can be more issues, there can be more problems, there can be more, more logical, uh, issues which has to be solved for for the better world. So, do we know the answer at this point in time? Is AI a utopia or is it a utopia? We don't know, but then certainly future lies so in future lies the answer, right? So that's what I can think of. But then yes, right side of things can certainly be helping us as an enabler. So as we talked about the opportunities for opportunities and enablers for the machine learning few slides back, and now we will talk about the challenges and the risks for the machine learning, right? So the most important challenge, as we call it, is obtaining the right set of data, because most of the time when we have the data is in unstructured format. So we call that almost 10 to 15% of the world data is in structured format. Rest 80 to 85% of the data is in unstructured format. So how we get the data in the right set of format, how we obtain the data and ensure that that data is being used and fed to the machine learning algorithm, that is a critical aspect to be looked upon. The kind of legality, the kind of the compliances which we have, the kind of GDPR, the kind of IPs, the copyrights, the overall general data protection regulation rights, right? So how are we going to look into it? That has to be again looked very deeply and sensitively. We need to be thinking of preparing it for the kind of machine learning, right? So whether we are using the structured data, unstructured data, are we using any kind of encoding, are we using any kind of cleaning, are we using any kind of missing data or algorithm? So these are the important aspects which has to be thought of and has to be addressed from the perspective of data. So it's not only data, but then yes, data is certainly the most important critical aspect, which is one of the input for your machine learning algorithms. Next important aspect is your machine learning algorithm itself. So selecting the right algorithm, because there are so many machine learning algorithms which are available in the which are available and which are available for free. So selecting the right set of algorithms which make sense, because some of the machine learning algorithms can be obsolete, they can be a old set of algorithms as well, right? So you should be able to pick up the right set of algorithms which can build the right set of capabilities. So understanding the results, ensuring that there are no biases, there are no variances, there's no overfitting, there's no underfitting for it. So these are the critical elements which has to be looked upon. So we need to also think of understanding the kind of overall differences from the group of machine learning algorithms. So how are you combining the results of different machine learning algorithms all together? So we need to ensure the right set of machine learning algorithms are being used, being fed with the right set of data, so that we get the right set of visualizations being created. The next important challenge, as we call as for this, is your data visualization. So we need to make sure that there are large set of amount of data which is there for the creation of the visualization dashboard, because data visualization can only happen when we have big data analytics fed with the right set of data. So the volume of data which is clean, which can be used in the right manner, has to be considered when you try to visualize the data. So that can be one of the challenges. The next challenge can be in terms of how the ML results are getting deployed. So ensuring, launching and maintaining the system, that can be a great challenge as well. So how the machine learning algorithms are being used, how they are getting launched, how they are getting maintained, they can be the great challenges as well in that. So these has to be addressed in the right way. So as we continue with the challenges and the risk, obviously there are few challenges from the perspective of the mathematics and scientific part of it. So how the set of things getting used in the engineering environment, how are we going to get it from the perspective of statistics? Are we trying to use the right set of linear algebra tools? Are we trying to use the right set of computational power, data sciences, sources, what kind of data algorithms or structures which you are trying to use this across, what kind of vector calculus documentations we are trying to use, what kind of research operational documents we are trying to use, what kind of control theories we are going to use, right? So these are the few of the mathematical and scientific challenges which machine learning bring onto the table. So it's not only challenges from the perspective, so it's not only the challenges from the perspective of mathematics and scientific, but then there are challenges from the perspective of hardware requirements as well. So there can be need for the parallel computational power. There can be need for the GPUs. There can be need for CPUs, OPUs, which is your optical processing unit. We don't know, whether there would be need for quantum computing. So these are the challenges which are knocking the doors, and we need to see how these have to be addressed when you're trying to address the machine learning challenges in a nutshell. So as we see, as we talk, that data visualization and presentation can be a big set of challenge. So when we say data visualization and presentation can be a big set of challenge, it has to be looked up very closely, that how the large amount of data can be visualized from the perspective of making a right set of inferences from it. So how we can think of having the undue fear of AI being presented in society, because I've seen, or we have seen, that most of the time AI being considered as one of those elements which can take away your jobs. So the undue fear of AI has to be regulated, and from specifically from the perspective of society and from the perspective of organization. So the kind of organizational fear of failure, or the kind of experimentation in which organization fail to deliver the result when they are trying to use AI and ML. So those are one of those kind of critical challenges which are faced by the organization itself. So in addition to this, we always see there are lack of skills, there are lack of individuals who have the right set of experience, right set of knowledge, right set of education, skills and capability, mindset for carrying out these, right? So obviously not individual, the teams who are working are, or will they be able to deliver the project with the right set of mindset? So can they be delivering it based on the waterfall model? Can they, or do they need to deliver it based on the agile ways of working? So these are the important aspect which has to be looked upon.